If you're going to give me a prediction of what the second half of 2024 is like for our industry, what's the mindset of decision makers and CEOs?
Um, well, there's predictions about what will happen, and then there's what I hope the mindset is. They may be two different things, right? I think, and we didn't talk anything about it today, but I think the application of artificial intelligence, we're going to start seeing use
Yeah.
cases of artificial intelligence that are going to start driving people to some, kind of really forward-thinking leaders to think about what's their vision for artificial intelligence, and they're going to start putting projects on their roadmap to start delivering on those features, right? So,
Yeah.
last year was kind of the introduction of AI, right? It was kind of, hey, there's this thing called ChatGPT. It writes better than you do. And now, right, we're talking about, there was a few weeks ago, I created 4 private GPTs in a weekend,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And immediately sent them out to my team and like, hey guys, you can start using these right now. So I mean, like
Right.
the application of AI, I think is going to really pick up steam, and I'm hopeful that we'll have leaders step up with aggressive and really visionary outlooks for what the application of AI can do for our institutions. Right.
Yeah.
To me, that's it. So I think that's what we'll see. And I think hopefully that's what the reaction will be to the industry.
Yeah. So I still have a fuzzy spot around AI for our industry because I think what you just said with private chat GPT, with private Copilot solutions, which obviously I think they're going to get pushed into our industry because people have M365 subscriptions and it's readily available for them to work with. But then you have AI, I mean, off the top of my head, I know 3 immediate AI focused companies that are in our industry that are trying to work with institutions to drive it forward. And so it's not whether AI will be used, it's who's going to be able to drive and help push that forward. Our institution is going to be able to do it on their own because it becomes such a common tool. Or are one of these 3 going to get, or 2 of the 3 get a mind share and really find that connection that allows institutions to just integrate it without having to sometimes having the roadmap handed to you and then being able to tweak it is easier for them. And so I really don't know. I'm waiting to see how that plays out, and I'm rooting for everyone. That's the thing. I think taking any steps in this area is great. I sat in a little regional chapter event, and I'm like, so even if you're afraid of all the other AI things and you don't want to put anything out there and you don't believe it's private, look, what is the teller, like what's a teller job description? Write me a job description for the CEO of a credit union that's 1 billion in asset size. I'm like, look at that. It's on my phone. This is like, I guarantee you this is 95% done, and you can tweak it just to show them very simple things that they could do. Starts to open up eyes.
What's interesting to me is that I think that we introduced digital 25 years ago now, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And we still think it's really amazing when somebody says, you know what, I'm going to start a financial institution from the ground up on digital. Right?
We've had a great conversation recently with someone who said that, right? I mean, it's really exciting, right?
It's so exciting. Like, when do we get that? When does somebody have the idea or the conversation say, I'm going to start a financial institution from the ground up that's built on AI? Right. And I think that's like that's the beacon. That's where we need to put a flag out in the future and say, like, what does that look like? What does that feel like? Because some of the stuff that's starting to come in about companies who are using AI at tier 1 support for their customers are showing that the customers actually are getting better support, fewer callbacks, happier customers, right? So, I think I'd love to see a vision. That's what I mean by a vision, right? What does a credit union look like that starts digitally but is built entirely on AI, right? There are now unicorns. There's this great search in Silicon Valley for a unicorn with a 1-person team, right? A unicorn being $1 billion valuation, using AI to build a product and to roll out service and support a product, but there's only 1 person who's in the company, right? There are people working on this concept and this idea right now, right? Like,
Yeah.
we have to have that kind of vision, that kind of challenging. Because even if you get there and you have 5 employees and you failed, you really won. Like, let's be honest.
Oh,
right?
no, that'd be huge. Right. Yeah. You got to shoot for something. I mean,
That's right.
Creating something new is so much more difficult than just doing what's always been done. And it's perceived as so much riskier. And by all means, I mean, there is a fine line between failure and success that you and I could probably tell a whole nother side story and go for hours on. But other things are not safe. We overestimate how safe the things we do are every day because we're just so used to them and we've accepted the risk. I have this conversation with people that come up to me. I live in fairly rural Pennsylvania. I'm very close to DC and Baltimore and all these from driving and getting there. But I have a lot of people that come up to me and say, I just could never do what you do, right? You start a company, you're in a tiny company, you're doing tech, entrepreneurial stuff. I'm like, you work for a company that could fire you tomorrow. Like, you have no control over your life.
That's right.
I have all kinds of stressors and all kinds of things that could go wrong. I just argue I probably see them much more acutely than you do. But I don't know that we're actually that much different in the situation we're in, unfortunately. I'd love to say that we're all in a much safer spot. But
I just had a $5 billion CEO say to me, I don't know how you do it. Right. I don't know how you live with the stress of this role, versus, what you could have done staying with a credit union. Right. And to the same point, like, there is this perceived safety in the credit unions that I think we need to show, not that they're unsafe, right, but that that we need to apply some forward thinking, some real big, hairy, audacious goals to ensure it continues to be that way. Right. So
agreed.
Excellent.